All right. Shalom, shalom. And first and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. All right. Double honors to the apostles, elders of great millstone. Shalom to you, Aki, pushing work and truth and sincerity. Coming back at you with another lesson. All right. Through the spirit and power, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, Lord willing. This is edifying. All right. Don't act like your war isn't against the poor. All right. And the poor being the Israelites. Okay. And of course, this is in regards to, you know, uh, the wicked, the sons of the wicked who are ruling the world. All right, who are pretty much wielding, their sword all over the earth. Okay, and got a few articles here. Esau's true hate, is and his true nature. All right, we're about to see live and in color. All right, and his attention is turned on you Israelites, okay, because there's always been a perpetual war, all right, between the nation of Esau, the so-called white man, all right, and the nation of Israel, all right, you so-called uh, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, whose lineage goes back to the patriarchs, the 12 patriarchs, all right, those 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 chosen, okay, all right, so in an attempt to procure his or solidify his spot in the world forever, he's essentially trying to eradicate and eventually eliminate you Jakes, all right. And so what is he doing now? All right, he's forming mischief by law, okay, and it's all in the guise of making America great again. But America has never been great. America has always been bitter. It's always been, great for, the wicked, the ones who have benefited from, the plight of others. All right. And that's the so-called white man, stealing, raping, and robbing. All right. And we can't forget about the infamous land grab from the Native American Indians. And then, of course, the horrific transatlantic slave trade, all right, which made many wealthy families that still exist to this day. And they're on their final lap of terror, okay? And it's about to show, and it has been shown in a great way. So I want to divide this lesson up into 3 articles, and then, have a few precepts. And this lesson is truly based off of this Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. All right. And this is what they've given to the poor. All right. Grievousness. All right. And they've formed laws and made decrees, unrighteous decrees, to bring forth mischief, to bring forth what? The word here for mischief is evil condition. All right. Misfortune. Okay. Because this is only happening to one people, and that's you Israelites. All right. While they get the bask in heroism, a false sense of heroism, all right, with the stampede and tumult to get this land back and to have it pure white again, so to speak. Okay. And so they're doing like they've always have done, move many out of the way and brought misfortune and hardship upon others, while they get to bask in their glory and gloat and have pride and so on and so forth. So need, and who's in need? Well, you tribes, the southern or the northern kingdom, you being the so-called, Mexicans, all right, Argentinians, all right, so-called, okay, Brazilians, Haitians, so-called, all right, and but really all the tribes, and Esau's going after them, and they're the ones that's in need. They're the ones that's in want. All right. It says wickedness, wrongdoing. All right, and this is all right what Esau is doing. Okay, evil, because he's bringing upon you tribes and evil because of a hatred that he has. Okay, and that goes back. All right, brothers know, of course, if you're in the know. All right, one of the mysteries, which is very obvious, but a lot of people are blind to, the perpetual hate that Esau has always had for Jacob. And the scripture explain it. It says, in that right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment. All right. They're calling what he's calling all of these, all of, which, and I can't go without saying this too, of course, um, most, the majority of our people deserve what's actually happening, because really, you know, I can't get too far without saying this, and I should have said this first. You tribes are being punished. All right. Okay. And the Lord is using Esau to go after you. Okay. And to show his true nature, because you're rebellious. You won't turn back to the Heavenly Father. You scoff, you scorn. All right. You blaspheme. Okay. Against the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, being, the most high God. Okay. And then his son, Yahweh Shai. Okay. Which is the heir of the majesty. All right. So I gotta say that. Okay. So mischief, to turn aside the needy from judgment. All right. And to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. All right. And that's what Esau is doing. Okay. He's robbing. All right. Uh, the descendants. Okay. All right. So let's see here. It says in the NLT, it says, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. All right. Because he's just calling all of Jake criminals. All right. And for the most part, you do have a lot of violent criminals. All right. But not all of them criminals, because what's going to really come from this is a lack of oversight, and then corruption will ensue as always. And there's always going to be a few, innocents that get caught in the crossfires. All right. But do they care? No, they don't, because their words are ambiguous. They expand farther than what they want the public to believe. And ultimately, this is just another ploy and a setup to go after, upright speech. Okay. And anyone that speaks against their establishment. All right. Ultimately, that's what it's going to get into. But of course, this is the pre-trial. The pre-trials when they going after Jake, who they deem criminals, and they can deem anyone a criminal, and that's what Trump is on the verge of doing. Okay, because it is a dictatorship, and this is what we're seeing unfolding right in front of our eyes, a totalitarian system. Okay, so they deprive the poor of justice and deny the rights of the needy among my people. And so now they found another loophole, all right, with a law dealing with the Levites, which are the Haitians, all right, where I believe they were able to file a suit to bring those who are unjustly taken out of the country, all right. And I might be saying it wrong too, so Salaki on that, but I can't remember the article. Okay. And it pretty much, allows you to kind of file a suit for, not just one person, but they made it to where you can't file that suit for everybody has to file individually, and not Salaki too. I forget, but he's changing laws right in front of our eyes. He's making it hard, and he's using his law to do it. So let's move on, Salaki. It says, and deny the rights of the needy among my people. They prey on widows and take advantage of orphans. All right. And so that's the poor. Those are the disadvantaged. Those are the ones that have no protection. All right. Because ultimately, this is what it's for. Okay. They're going to screen criminals, and then they're going to go after who they actually want to go after. Okay. Whomever. So let's go here to Wisdom of Solomon. All right. Chapter 2. And I'll cut straight to the point here in 10. And it says, here I start at 1, and then I'm going to jump to 10. Okay. It says, for the ungodly say a reasoning within themselves, Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 1, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. So I read this to show you the reasoning of the ungodly. All right. And this is one of their reasons. Okay. This is one of the things that they reason on, to plot against the poor. Right. So verse 10, Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 10, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. All right. And so they're aimlessly set against you, of course, you tribes. All right. All right. You the poor. Okay. Revelations 2 and 9. I know that works. All right. But ultimately, of course, you have to kind of be distinct. You got the elect of the nation of Israel, and then you got 2/3, all right, who get pretty much Esau. He gets who he wants according to the Lord's will, you know, but shall he altogether go unpunished? So, whether Jake is wicked and Esau's, able to do what he wants, all right, he's still gonna be punished, all right, at the end of the day. So, Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 11. Let our strength be the law of justice. And this is what we're seeing with, how Trump is moving with these executive orders being passed. All right. This is what the wicked or the unjust or the ungodly say within themselves. Let them what? Let our strength be the law of justice. All right. And that's why they're able to bring forth mischief through, all right, their laws, all right, and make unjust laws. Okay. For that which is feeble, which are you tribes. So there's nobody protecting you. There's nobody, looking to save you. There's nobody speaking on your behalf. There's nobody who is searching out your condition and remedy or giving you a remedy for the evils that in the condition. All right. So it says, so you the feeble. So Salaki, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. All right. And so that's how he looks at us, to be worth nothing. So he uses his law of justice to bring forth evil, to bring in misfortune, to oppress. Okay. But what does the scripture say? All right. Okay, because it's supposed to be a God-fearing country, which we know it's not. It's nowhere near. All right. This is a hypocritical place. It's a very bitter place. All right. It says, thou shalt not oppress and hire servant that is poor and needy. All right. Of course, you've done that throughout the stint of, you being on this side of the world, starting with, the so-called Indian land grab, the the transatlantic slave trade. All right. You've done that. All right. Whether he be, all right, of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates, and you're still doing it to this day. All right. You're going after the poor through the guise of bringing down criminals. You know, not everybody's a criminal that we're seeing that, Esau is grabbing up. People on the job site working, people shopping, people enjoying events. Okay. And he's normalized it. Okay. He's normalized it because what? He's able to dehumanize, discriminate by law with with perpetrating that they're doing this for the good of all right, and that they're ridding society of these animals, right? Criminalizing, all right, the same MO, the same old devil. He ain't never changed, okay? So thou shalt not oppress and hire servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates, okay? And to oppress is to what? Okay? Because a lot of you is supposedly God-fearing, Christians and all of this madness, but when you really look at it, you're never going by what the Bible's saying. All right. All your works, and the scriptures say you should know them by their works. All right. So this place is hypocritical. All right. At its very core. And it's very rotten. All right. The way uh, you Edomites get down. All right. All you Christians, whether you be Jacob or Edom or some other nation. All right. So the word for oppress here is I shock, right? To oppress, oppressor, defraud, all right? Wrong, okay? Deceived, deceitfully gotten, oppression, drink up, violence, because that's what Esau is doing now. He's drinking up, right? Because he's wronging, all right? He's bringing wrong, he's doing wrong, all right? He's not doing justice. So to oppress, to act towards, so acting oppression, hold on, said or treat anyone unjustly, okay? But in the eyes of many, you're using your justice or your so-called justice, your laws, all right, to do mischief, okay? So that's the real, thing that's happening. All right, moving on, Slakia. So going more than longer than I wanted, than I intended to. So this is Job 20:19. All right, because he hath oppressed and forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he buildeth not. And that's been Esau, the so-called white man's MO. All right, this is what he's been doing in the earth. Okay, you can't really ascribe that to no one but him. And we're talking about the so-called white man and your history, all right, what you would call American history. All right. There shall none of his meat be left, therefore shall no man look for his good. So, Slaki, 20 and 20. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. Okay. And what do you desire? To basically be on top. All right. You being the high one. All right. It says, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. Right. And you're going, you're being plagued in your mind. All right. And really, by the witness that's against you. Okay. Because this is a witness. Okay. So moving on. All right. Proverbs 14:31. And it reads, it says, he that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker, but he that honoreth him hath mercy on the poor. And Esau Well, you see he's not having mercy because this is his next move. Trump tours alligator Alcatraz a day before its first arrivals are expected. All right. And we already know it ain't just going to be criminals in there. All right. And Esau's doing this really fast. Okay. He's doing it really fast. These ain't nothing but prison industrialists. All right. And they're getting, paid for this. Okay. Because they gotta hire contractors. And then we're gonna see more stuff like this. Okay. All right. We're gonna see more stuff like this. All right. And there's already black sites, or the elders brought out a while back, Rex 84. All right. The detainment of American citizens, basically. All right. Or the what do they call them? Um, oh man, it escapes me right now. Well, basically, detention centers all over America. All right, that's Rex 84. Right. So let's see here, Article 2. Okay. He's also at the same time, all right, using tech, all right, to hunt, capture, and eventually, he's going to be unaliving a lot of people. All right, which is already happening. People falling out of planes whose hands are cuffed, their feet are cuffed, you know. But right now it's to hunt and capture, and this is what Esau doing in real time. All right. But of course, these measures that they're pulling, all right, it will expand to all Jake, man. All right. Then ultimately upright speech, right, which we've been bringing out. Okay. So I mean, right now it's a popular thing, all right, among Jake to be an Israelite. All right. But they're gonna find out very soon things are gonna get very serious. Trump taps Palantir to create master database on every American. All right. So they got they're opening you know, essentially Pandora's box to, to start using that data, all right, pinpointing who they want, and they've been doing it with the immigrants as well. Palantir CEO denies New York, what is that, report on data collection. Yeah, of course they're going to deny it. Of course they're going to deny it. All right. But he's already using it. Okay. And this is how they're going after, all right, the poor. Okay. So Article 3, and this is the Department of Justice looking at denaturalization for American citizens convicted of certain crimes. All right. All right. Because when they say denaturalize, they mean dehumanize, discriminate, criminalize. All right. The Department of Justice is prioritizing revoking citizenship from some naturalized Americans who commit certain crimes. All right. And again, this is all they always going to expand. All right. Beyond what they're saying. So, according to the Department of Justice memo posted online, in the memo dated June 11th, Assistant Attorney General Brett Schumit is giving U.S. attorneys wide discretion to decide when to pursue the denaturalization process in order to advance the administration's policy objectives. Okay. You know, those laws. All right. As the Trump administration pursues its ongoing um, immigration crackdown, while attorneys are urged to prioritize cases involving individuals who pose a potential danger to national security, right? And that's important to point out too, okay? Because that's what they're going to say to us, that we pose a potential danger to national security, okay? The memo also states that they can seek out any other cases referred to civil division that the division determines to be sufficiently important to pursue. And a new tactic, ICE is arresting migrants in at immigration courts. The attorney says, right? And if that ain't a low blow, you know. But yeah, that happened a few weeks ago or a month ago. Okay, the civil division shall prioritize and oh yeah, and they're using their Palantir to do all of this. Okay, that's a big part of it as well. Okay, that's why they're able to see, uh, you know, who's at immigration court and go after them. Okay, civil division shall prioritize and maximally pursue denaturalization proceedings in all cases permitted by law and supported by the evidence. Shoemate said, or Shoemate wrote. Some of the cases in U.S. Attorneys should pursue are those against individuals who have engaged in torture, war crimes, human trafficking, and human rights violations, the memo says. But if you hear Trump's talking points, all right, you know, basically he's speaking as though they can change it up at any time, all right, and they can tweak it at any time, and they can go after whoever they want, right? All right, you see how they went after their own, all right, just by them these individuals in politics disagreeing with him. He used the Department of Justice to go after them, right? So in conclusion, because I didn't want this to be that long, all right, Psalms 12 and 5, and of course you can't forget Revelations 12 and 12, all right, because that's where we at, all right. But ultimately, the Lord is going to look after his own, all right. All right, so Psalms 12 and 3, the Lord shall cut off all flattering lips, all right, and that's Esau, you know, because that's what they're using, flattering lips, okay. They're soothing these people with this, you know, this false uh, sense of heroism or protection, or you know, them being a savior to ultimately bring everybody into uh, and, and 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 lock everybody into this system, all right, which is the beast system. Okay, it says, in the tongue that speaketh proud things, who have said, with our tongue will we prevail, our lips are our own. Who is Lord over us? Who is saying this? That's Esau saying this. All right. They can do what they want to do. Okay. Whether it be moral, immoral. All right. And this is how they move it in the earth. Verse 5, for the oppression of the poor, for the sighing of the needy, now will I arise. Because what? He's going to wear out the saints. And we're at that time, you know, where we're being worn out, or eventually will be worn out. Okay. Here, I'll just get it really quick. It's 25. All right. All right. It says, and this is dealing with America. Okay. Daniel 7 and 25. Okay. But preferably, I mean, more distinctly, Esau, Edom. Okay. And he shall speak great words against the Most High. All right. And shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Okay. And think to change times and laws. Who's doing that in the earth? Esau. All right. Changing times and laws. Okay. He is the one that's speaking great words against the Most High. All right. Which, in other words, how is he doing it? By making laws against the already established laws, of the Bible. All right. Okay. Because remember, this is supposed to be quote unquote God fearing country, Christian country, right? The president basically he said, he's saying he's Jewish or yeah, he's converted, but none of them hold the words. All right. Okay. And so they're speaking great words against the Most High, basically. And that's through what their philosophy, the transhumanism, you know, the New World Order. All right. This is a show where the saints of the Most High the things to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand unto a time and times and the dividing of time. All right. And that time is now about to be cut soon. All right. So let's go back. Psalms 12 and 5 again. This is for the oppression of the poor, for the sign of the needy. Now will I rise, saith the Lord Yahweh. I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him. Right. And Isaiah 59 and 19. All right. Goes into us or the Lord. Raising up a standard against Esau. All right. And that standard is that he's going to hide us. He's going to basically protect us. All right. Isaiah 59:19, it says, so shall they fear the name of the Lord, Yahweh from the west, or Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. All right. Because that's what Esau is doing even now. He's flooding you tribes. Okay. you know, it says, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against them. All right. And here, let me go into that word standard really quick, because that's a good word to go into. And it says, the Hebrew word is nawas. All right. To flee, escape. All right. To take flight. You see. All right. And that means power is coming. All right. Spiritual power is coming. Okay. Right. And of course, the angels are going to be at our side. All right. Okay. So who you think are going to be saving us, and who you think going to, be giving us that power? All right. Of course, it's angels. All right. He's going to keep us in the way. All right. So depart, disappear, to fly, to the attack on horseback. Okay. To the attack. All right. So the Lord might give us power to defend ourselves. All right. To attack. To take flight. All right. I had a vision that happened. I had a vision. Yeah. I had a vision, two visions that happened. All right. So it says to drive hastily, to cause to disappear, hide. All right. Because that's what the Lord is going to do for us. All right. So again, Psalms 12 and 5, I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him. All right. The words of the Lord Yahweh are pure. All right. And another word for pure is sure. Okay, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. All right, perfect word. All right, sure word. All right, so it says, "Thou shalt keep it, or keep them." Excuse me, O Lord, thou shalt preserve them from this generation forever. Right, because there's the elect members who are not going to be touched. All right, and the Lord, and those that they do touch of the Lord, all right, is still going to have the Spirit on them. All right, the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. All right, and that's happening now. So Psalm 72, just a few more. I know I've been long-winded and talking much. So, right, Psalm 72:4. He shall judge the poor of the people. He shall save the children of the needy. He shall break in pieces the oppressor, because that's ultimately what's coming. You know, and all we got to do is wait. All we got to do is wait. Okay. All right. So that was one hitter. So Ecclesiastes 5:8. And this will be the last one. All right. Ecclesiastes 5:8. It says, "If thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province." Oh, I was supposed to read this earlier. "Marvel not at the matter. All right. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they." All right. So the Lord is watching all of this. Okay. You know, he's watching all the proud, the arrogant. All right. He's got his eye on them. Okay. And that really is a very scary thing. Okay. Especially when you're dealing with the Most High Yahweh Shai. All right. And his host of angels. Okay. So for he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. See? Woo! Right? Moreover, the prophet of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. All right. So with that, hey Lord, this was edifying. Okay. Till next time, I say shalom.